I'm actually pretty excited for this because I think Abstract, they kind of have the team fighting abilities. They just seemed a little bit scared to force the issue. They're not exactly sure what to do, which is what you see out a lot of these kind of Challenger Cup teams who may not have a ton of experience in competitive play. Sure, they played some casual tournaments. Maybe they've played some scrims, but being in more of a structured environment, they're not used to it. And they might be playing a little bit scared because of it.
I think the big key there was Battalion taking that Fire Giant, that shot call for the Fire Giant was the turning point of that game. And if Abstract make sure they keep hold of the Fire Giant this game and don't give it up, I think they could come back. Let's find out though. Game 2 picks and bans should be ready. And what do you expect to see here?
I expect to see much of the same centered around the Guan Yu Battalion. Are going to be first pick this time, so we're going to see the teams switch sides. But that Guan Yu, I don't think No Compromise played the best game in the world. I don't think he did anything phenomenal. He kind of did his job, but just that Guan Yu healing out of combat and how intelligently Battalion used it as well. We didn't really see them dive too deep. The Zeus ult on top of the Kumba to make sure to secure it so no one could protect him. The resetting ability. I think they only had 3 deaths that entire game. Was it 5 maybe? Not that much.
Well, these bans look very, very similar so far. Will it be an actual Odin ban as well from Abstract? Because I believe that was the last ban that we saw.
Was not the Zeus. Maybe it should have been the Zeus.
Well, maybe it should have been after seeing. And this time it looks like it's the Zeus. We'll find out.
Maybe. Do we have confirmation?
Don't want to check it in now. Battalion though have the first pick, first ban option right now. So the first pick option here. They could on the table.
They could look to go Raijin themselves here. Abstract picked it up, but they didn't really utilize it to its fullest. To be fair though, Battalion ran that Ratatosker, which was very good at diving the back line. Same can be said about Bacchus.
I
mean, Ollie might just be team captain and be like, yo, get me Bacchus.
When we actually look at that game back, Ollie was the standout player for me on that team, and it worked out great for him. And so I can completely agree with running that back one more time, taking it as a priority pick.
You know, you very rarely say that support was the shining light, and that's how you know they really did a good job. If you just see them shine at all points, just clearly has the game knowledge to run this team here.
Laning phase maybe his weakest. From what I saw out of him, his laning phase was a little bit suspect. But other than that,
they were up against an on-her Kumba though, so it's not really a fight they can win.
It was more he was flopping for damage and aggression than instead of going for the wave clear. That was the only signs of like danger that I saw of him. But there's the Awilix to go alongside it this time, and a Guan Yu as well. Christmas Day for Battalion here.
And Battalion, they had the Awilix banned in that second phase last time by Abstract, so this time they don't want to go there. I think they had picked the Zeus in that position. It's banned away. Also, the Raijin's off the table, so instead, just go to what you want to begin with. Abstract, though, they've gone back to the Raijin Susano, so they're running the same composition back, but they just need to be a little bit more aggressive with it. Raijin Susano has so much damage early on, but they just let Battalion farm out.
Whoa! We saw the Anhur last time. Double mage here. Raijin and Giannis on the same squad. Nope, it's a Sobek. So, Sobek locked in for Abstract. I got very excited then for a second.
I did too.
Sobek this time around. Jingwei is one thing I was going to mention that maybe Abstract look at drafting here, especially against the knockups that are going to come out from Battalion. Jingwei very, very good and escapability with that agility.
I mean, Jingwei is a character that, you know, I talked about comfortability before. She's one that's kind of out of meta that I think you do have to be comfortable with to run her. She's one of the newer gods. Doesn't see a lot of play time in competitive play just because she's really only good in these counter match situations. So I don't know if this is something that Naaaarrrk has practiced.
Well, there's the Giannis ban during the counter ban phase there, and it's going to be Jingwei as well, which Battalion recognize, you know, sorry, it was Battalion that played it last time, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's the double knock-up on the side of Abstract, right? Susano and Sobek. Jingwei has a really good counter to it.
Yeah, and then obviously Battalion with a final one, Rama. So Hunter focus coming up from both these two, and both of them require a Hunter during this phase. Back to Abstract, though. They're requiring the more than likely support. It could be Sobek support here and the Hunter.
Yeah, I was thinking Sobek support, but then I realized Abstract ran it in solo last time. So they have a number of options. The Bacchus is already on the table. I mean, they could look to run Kumbhakarna back. I don't think their comp was bad. I just don't think they played it well.
I don't think they executed it outside of team fights. The team fights were great.
They're running it back. I think this is the salty run back.
I don't see a reason not to here, as long as they execute the team fights better. We said the Fire Giant was the be-all and end-all of that game. When they lost the Fire Giant, they lost the sway of the game in favor of Battalion.
The one main issue here for Abstract, though, is now that the Awilix is on the board, you don't really want to get a Hunter with a leap. So the Hou Yi and Anhur become, and even Ullr become less favored.
So who are we looking at here? Medusa?
Possibly, but that surprised me too, because why would Battalion ban the Neath? Awilix is such a hard counter to Neath. Maybe they just didn't want to deal with the global?
Maybe. Xbalanque for the side of Battalion here, so they're going for the hyper carry. The Dark Eastern Knight's always beneficial for your team just because it just limits vision. It's a huge ability to have.
Bacchus, Guan Yu, Zhong, Xbalanque, some of the strongest team fighters in the game. Pair that with an Awilix for the picks. This is a pretty well-rounded composition from Battalion. I think they're going to be looking to do the same game plan where they just play intelligently, make it very slow early on, and then look for those mid-game team fights. Try and force another Gold Fury at that 15, 16-minute mark.
Well, the only change to Abstract's lineup here is going to be the Apollo instead of the Anher, and that's generally just because there's no leap on it. It's only Medusa and Apollo that you can really look at to not have a leap.
I mean, also, the Apollo's Mez counters two primary abilities coming out from Battalion. Guan Yu's Talu Assault, as well as Bacchus' Belch. Those are channeled abilities that the Mez is going to be able to completely cancel out. Also, Talu Assault just kills you because it shreds your protections, and the Belch stuns. So, very good abilities to counter.
Well, Transcendence is going to be started up here by no Styley on the Xbalanque, and Olliieee back to his best on the Bacchus. Had a fantastic game. We kept harping on about it. Probably will do this game if he goes the same way. And once again, both the Raft people here have gone. Sorry, both the Rafts are actually on the same people. Susano for the jungle and Bacchus in the support role.
See, this is a little bit different, though, for the Susano. I think it made sense last time when he was up against a Ratatosker who doesn't have as strong of CC, I would say. The problem now is that now he's facing off against an Awilix and Bacchus. These two love to find picks on anyone that doesn't have purification. And normally, they're forced to focus on, picking off Guardians supports who rotate to the mid camps or mid fights because they don't typically go those very selfish relics. But this time, Airbrushd, since he doesn't have purification, if I'm Battalion, I'm just looking for Olliieee to flop him on cooldown and then quickly pull him with Gravity Surge.
When I'm looking at compositions-wise, Sobek here, who the hell is he going to pull? Because if you pull a Zhong into your team, you're going to have a bad time. You pull a Guan Yu into your team, you're going to have a bad time. You pull an Awilix in, yeah, maybe. You pull a Bacchus in, you're going to have a bad time
We saw that last time.
He's basically only got 2 targets to look for pulls on the Sobek. He can either pull a Awilix or Xbalanque. The others, no dice. You do not want to pull them in.
And I mean, Xbalanque also has, Rising Jaguar, so he's going to be able to get out pretty easily. Suku for Awilix. So these are also gods that have very quick to react escape, so it's unless you're 100 to 0ing them, it's not going to be too easy. Battalion, though, with the Zhong, we don't see him too often. Very weak against high mobility compositions.
He's more of a poke guard, as in sustained damage, not burst damage, as a lot of people like. Generally sustained. Those cards come into play. The only real burst he's got is on that exorcism when a card is procced.
And that's not his ultimate. His ultimate is very strong. If you look at his, just the numbers on his ult, and if you hit multiple targets with it when he releases the demons, it's a lot of damage. The issue is it's over 5 seconds, and you can get out of the circle, which means Zhong, who doesn't have any movement abilities to gap close if someone runs away from him, isn't that strong against people who have the ability to run away from him, which Susano, Sobek, Raijin, and Apollo, they all have those options.
Sprint on its own causes a lot of issues for Zhong to have to deal with, as well as you can CC him. You can crowd control him and knock him away, knock him up, just stop him from moving after you when the ultimate's popped, and it makes it very difficult for him.
What is good for him, though, is that he's incredibly tanky, right?
Yes.
Not only just having base scaling that no other mage has outside of Freya with protections, but also getting bonus protections in his passive. And if you pair that with a Guan Yu, if you can't burst the Zhong, we saw it last game too, just the ability to spam that conviction and heal up your team to full, it's so much more effective on gods that actually can't die and get bursted.
Well, hits level 5 of the back camps here, does Gears of Luke, and meanwhile in the mid lane, his opposition still has hit level 5, both of them have actually, as Airbrushd combines there with Bloakley.
Just going to be farming for now. And I want to see Abstract. I need to see them be a little bit more aggressive. Once again, they have this Raijin Susano. Very good at the 2v2, although you do have to think a little bit about the Awilix. Featherstep does hit very hard, but if you just play the slow passive game, I think they're going to get into the same situation they did last time.
I really predict we're going to see the same style of game in terms of game length and wait for that first blood until the 9-10 minute mark here. Wait for people to be comfortable, because it doesn't look like we have the junglers in this game don't seem to want to be overly aggressive.
Very passive. Yeah. They're very passive jungle. And sometimes you do have those styles on teams where you'll have, maybe a very aggressive soul laner and a more passive team fighting jungler, right? I think back to Fnatic with Twig. Twig was like, I'm just farming, and if they force a fight, I'm going to fight. Meanwhile, in the soul lane, Zeros is trying to 1v1, or excuse me, not Zeros, Maniac is trying to 1v1 everyone. Reels is going to take any fight he can get if someone wants to box him. But for the mid jungle, it's kind of like, let's just play passive.
And surprising when you've got Susano who can go in, get poke, and get out. And the same for the Awilix that can do the same sort of thing here. We'll just see if they do step up the pace a little bit this time round. Obviously, in the Hunter position here, it should be pretty much a farm fest there. But that's a good pluck, pulling him into Susano. And that's the response you'll get with the cavalry charge coming out in response just to defend himself.
Forcing that ult, really well played. And Battalion don't, or excuse me, Abstract don't have to burn anything for it. All their ultimate's still online. I'd love to see Susano make the rotation back over to the soul lane and find the gank, or even look to invade since Guan Yu is going to be forced to back here.
Well, maybe he will. He's taken the blue buff now with the Sobek. Ezzuna's going to pick that one up for himself, and yes, he is staying around here. But wisely enough, as you said, no compromise. Just going to head back to base, which I think is a better option.
Mid Harpies seems to be a fight over it, but Battalion's already secured it. Luke picking up the last hit there, and it's just going to be the 3v3 grouping. Still, 3 players with 0 player damage, same as last time. You know,
the surprising one is Raijin more than anybody else.
He has such good poke.
As Zhong you can kind of understand because it's generally going to be in hand or just catching someone with the edge of a card. But a Raijin with that little, very surprising.
DineOhSaw looks like he's setting up for a gank here, but the rest of his team is very passive, wanting to back off. And that Raijin, I think Bloakley is a little bit scared because we saw him last game get really focused by On Instinct, so he might still have that in his mind that he's going to be the target for Battalion in these engagements.
Well, Sobek's going to rotate around for the Fire Elementals, and Susano's going to join him there as well, so Abstract doing a good job of developing a lead by just cleaning up the camps a little bit better and having multiple people there consistently.
Ezzuna was getting a little bit pressured in that lane at first, but seems to have gained control over it once again, and I mean, this is the best thing that a Sobek can ask for, right? You're facing off against a Guan Yu who doesn't have the best push in the first 6 to 7 levels, which is really where we see the Sobek's struggle, but now that he's gotten out of that early phase, he's going to be completely fine to farm up, just as he did last game.
Well, Compromise going to find out those Fire Elementals are down right about now. Be a little bit upset about that, but it'll be fine. He's teleported still on cooldown, level 8 right now, and both those solo ladies and most of the players now have their full boots online. Xbalanque is about to take his first trip back to base, though, and should finish off the Transcendence.
Olliieee could go aggressive here in the mid. We saw him grouped up there once again in that 3v3, and there's no purification on the Susano. This is something that Battalion need to recognize, but it's going to be a bait.
This bait round the corner, check
it. Oh, Olliieee knew.
Here, but I think
Olliieee saw it.
He saw it just at the corner of his eye, and it allowed Gears of Luke to just throw out the card and let him know, yep, boys, we know you're not doing it. Back to solo lane, and the fight continues.
That's something that you don't really talk about, but in Smite, right, in this camera view, you can actually kind of pan yourself around and see people around corners sometimes. That's exactly what Olliieee did. He saw the arm from Susano and just backed off.
To be fair, he could have got in if they wanted to initiate and try and force something there, but not to be. Ezzuna using that Sobek again to sustain back up with the mana, but he missed most of the creeps there, which he'll really have to correct next time.
He's just spamming laugh, man. He's feeling it. That's what is it? The summer Sobek skin. What's
summer
it called?
Sobek. I don't know. It's called pluck the Guan Yu into an awkward position and get teleported in the face again.
Ezzuna just wants to fight. He just wants to fight. They want top player damage. He had top player damage last time. True. Probably blamed his team, you know, just the typical ranked mindset. I don't actually know, by the way.
I mean, all solo lanes are the same, so yeah, more than likely. Although, you know, Battalion will be very happy with the sustain that came out from the Guan Yu last time.
And Ezzuna doing actually a really good job of poking out Compromise.
He's actually rotating round here. After all these pokes they've had onto the Guan Yu, if that charge play would have landed, could have spelled trouble for this Guan Yu, but instead, the tornado hits at the same time. Oh, they're not going to get enough damage off and find the kill. Very unfortunate. They nearly had it, and instead, oh, it's actually Sobek in trouble, but it doesn't look like Awilix wants to continue to commit.
I mean, that was so unfortunate, right? Not only did Abstract Ezzuna miss his pluck, which would have guaranteed the kill, but then the reaction time from the Susano, I think he thought the Guan Yu was dead, and then didn't realize he had just the smallest sliver. The jet stream comes out, but it's too late. Guan Yu has already retreated to his tower, and they're not in a position to dive because the Awilix had made the rotation.
Very surprised. No compromise, though. Showers to him for that cavalry charge reaction. Realizing
that was
he was
perfect.
Like, I've got to go, dip, and he immediately gets on the mount and gets away just in time. Though left Harpies once again going the way of Abstract. They're starting to build up a bit of a gold lead here, Adonis. It's basically just because they're out farming their opponents in the jungle.
About 800. You know, 7 minutes in, that's decent. And it really comes down to power spikes at that time. Can your jungler, with that extra gold lead he has, finish a tier 3 item, finish a Jotun's Wrath or a Void Shield on what looks to be Susano's build? Because if you can then look to continue to force that fight because you have that item lead. And even right now at tier 2, it could be good for Abstract to take some form of initiation, while the Awilix only has boots.
Well, I've still got 2 mid laners under 250 player damage each here. That is quite surprising.
1 at 0.
I mean, 1 player at 0 is very surprising, especially a Raijin too, who can get poke off with the Raichu.
Look at this. Look at this. Gold Fury going to be started up by Abstract. They were trying to set up a gank once again, but Gears of Luke read it out, and then Abstract just going to reset. We saw this from them last time as well. They tried to force these early Gold Furies with their Susano's Wrath, but the second someone appears, they just back off. They're scared to fully commit and burn everything. They have a Raijin ult. They can 100-0 that Gold Fury quickly.
I'm thinking about Raijin into a Zhong as well. If Raijin just throws out the fear and the ultimate of the Taiko drums here, you can make sure Zhong can't get any damage up on your team.
He's not
because
CC
he's going
immune.
the wrong direction.
He's not CC immune. You could definitely take care of that. I mean, at the very least, force purification. Right now, the Battalion actually going to be trying to bait up the Gold Fury. Just kidding.
The usual ward wars are just happening between the two now, both dancing around it. One will go in, clear out the wards. Next one will go in, clear out the wards. While they just continue to farm the mid lane here.
Gold Ward's actually very much in favor of Battalion there. You could see kind of not only this kind of triangle or diamond style around the Gold Fury, but they also have one at the bottom of their mid Harpies, so they're going to know if Abstract are trying to bait them once again.
Well, Ezzuna is now proxy farming a wave at the tier 2 tower on this right-hand side on Sobek here.
He's only level 11. He could get ganked.
I think he's realizing he can be a bit more confident here. He's not worried about aggression coming out from no compromise on this Guan Yu at all.
He actually might be trying to get ganked, right? Because his team has been trying to go for the Gold Fury, so if he can bait 1 or 2 rotations over as they try and kill him, they're going to have the clear numbers advantage. Most importantly, they're really trying to bait Olliieee over to the right-hand side. So that Wrath is on the opposite side of the map.
A little bit surprised here by Battalion's mid laner, Zhong. What's his name on here? Luke. Look at his level. How is he only level 9 and his lane opponent level 11? And neither of them have got kills.
I think he's splitting too much, but this is going to be a Gold Fury attempt. In goes DineOhSaw. He's going to find the Mez and just the reset. Bloakley trying to get his first bit of damage off, but he can't connect the Raiju.
No. He's not allowed any player damage this game at all.
What if he gets 0?
That'd be amazing.
What's worse, 667 or 0?
667. I don't know, didn't. I don't know. It depends how long this game goes
really
to.
Not.
I mean, it's been 10 minutes.
Either way.
10 minutes. That's a low player damage game. Both these teams very, very scared to really engage on this. They both have very aggressive comps too, which is the big deciding factor, especially on the junglers, who, when I look at the jungler damage, both of them below 1,000 still as well.
Just not trying to poke at all. Everyone's just playing so safe. If I thought Instinct was trying to go for the fight there. But
people not scared of fighting though. The Hunter's a little bit higher up right now. There's a very good overhead coming out from Instinct, but it's not enough. The Feather Step was on the mark. The player damage,
Bloakley's on the board.
He's above Bacchus now. He did it.
He's on the board. He can only do more damage from now on, so that's always something to look at. But
you can only go higher.
But if Battalion win this games, they're guaranteed in the finals. They're going to be playing for money up against Put Kettle on. But they also are guaranteed in relegations, more importantly. Abstract, if they can't win this game and the next game, they're going home.
We'll see who works this out overall, because it's 11 minutes in now. Gold Fury started up one more time by Abstract, and it looks like they're trying to burst this, but Gears of Luke shows his face, has the ultimate available, remember, and he's walking right at the team, walking right towards Raijin. Drums of war sounded, and the Gold Fury goes the way of Abstract, as Bloakley did exactly what he needed to do.
Airbrushd already picked off, and now DineOhSaw is going to fall as well. Naaaarrrk is there, and the rotation has come in from Ezzuna, but he's in the middle of the 3. He's trying to find Olliieee, but he gets knocked up, plucked back in. Really well played by Instinct, and he's going to be forced to ult just to disengage, but no Compromise. Still looks like he wants to go aggressive.
Could still look for something if they want to, but it doesn't look like that's the case. Instead, they're going to farm up here. Battalion get 2 kills off the engagement. Abstract get the Gold Fury, however. And Bloakley, for his first major part in that game, used his ultimate to stop Guan Yu from focusing his team and trying to steal it away.
Really well played by Bloakley. And now Battalion, they're going to be grouping up. They're still 4 members strong. Ollie's back at the base. They wanted to siege this tier 1, but without the Bacchus to initiate, I think it becomes a little bit too difficult. And Abstract, after all said and done, they've got about a 1k gold lead, so still...
And they'll be happy with that as well, because obviously they could have chipped away a lot more of that tier 1 tower mid. There was 4 of them grouped up there in a full minion wave, but they were just a little bit too scared to do so. So it's allowing Abstract a window of opportunity there by getting that substantial lead.
No Style, getting... not the kills, which he really wanted. Obviously, that passive going to be able to give him bonus power, but he's built into the Transcendent, so a little bit of a switch up in Hunter builds here, looking at the dual lane. And that's just because Xbalanque hit so hard that stacking power on him, when he gets full build, he'll be critting for over 1,000.
And this is generally on Hunters that have Transcendence, that work well with Transcendence, I want to say. So they'll go for the Assy as well to go alongside it for the lifesteal. Meanwhile, Hunters that don't necessarily need that power spike with the Transcendence, like an Apollo, for example, can go for the Devour's Gauntlets and the extra sustain and attack speed that comes with it.
He's also got, attack speed just in his passive. Audacity is very good when you're trying to 1v1 box someone, so if you can get that stacked up, you don't really need too many attack speed or power-based items. You just have such high DPS in your base kit.
And overall, with what happened there, the Gold Fury just watching it back one more time. And Battalion, they picked up 2 kills there, yeah, but losing the Gold Fury for relatively free, the team just seemed a little bit too far out of position to really contest it.
You know, Ezzuna does such a good job in this lane. He has been bullying no compromise 2 games in a row, but the issue is that Abstract don't try and kill him. I mean, look at the player damage, 6,200.
You say that, hang on, but look at this.
As I call it, Caster's Curse.
3 guys here on his face now. Got to use the cavalry charge early. Obviously, they're using abilities to try and slow him down, but Combo could have got enraged, but the stun connected. He just threw back too early there, and in the end, the fight subsides. But now on the left-hand side here, bit of aggression coming out from Styley, looking to aggress onto Apollo.
He's going to try and steal the mid-camps, but in the meantime, actually, Olliieee tries to set up a kill on Bloakley. You can see the 3-man grouping, and still Gears of Loot 2 levels behind Raijin. He's just been getting all his waves stolen from his support in jungle. I think that's all it is.
Is it because what's the experience difference between the support and jungles of the enemy team, though? Is it that much of a difference? No.
11-11, 13. I mean, there's 13 on Awilix.
If anything, Gears of Luke's just been missing farm somewhere, and I don't understand where is the biggest issue here, because his lane opponent, who's done less player damage than him, to be fair, he's done, you know, actually, no, he's done more player damage now. Bloakley's ahead of the Zhong.
We can't talk negatively anymore. He's climbing. He's up there.
Oh, no, I'm not.
What were you looking at? I think we were looking at XP per minute.
That's what I was looking at, XP per minute.
We're so confused. There we go. Thank you, cameraman. We're all good now.
Mistakes were made.
14 minutes into this one, though, and the first Gold Fury went to Abstract Battalion. They would answer back with first blood and a second kill, but Battalion up a game here. They want to close this out, and they want to qualify for relegations. I don't know, though. This Abstract looked to be a little bit more willing to engage in Game 2. At least with the Gold Fury, they committed to that.
At least a little bit for now, and we've mentioned Gears of Luke in the mid lane being behind on experience here. Well, if that continues to develop and this 2-level lead that we've been seeing for Raijin continues, then the longer the game goes, he's not going to be as damaged as the time goes on.
He's actually not even built into immediate damage. He's built into the Warlock Sash, which is going to be helpful, but it's going to take a lot of ramp-up time and a lot of minions to kill. 100 stacks on that baby, and it's going to be 600 health and like 110 magical power when it's there, but that's not going to be for another 10 minutes.
Well, right-hand side, you can see some aggression looking for Ezzuna potentially there, but looks like Awilix has gone for a speed buff instead. Once again, Abstract just continuing to farm at the mid lane, and nobody's looking at Xbalanque. He's overextended right now, and he's just continuing to push and bully Apollo a little bit.
Caster's Curse, and DineOhSaw is going to recognize him. He just dashes away. Susano's here as well, but Olliieee was on the interception.
Listen, if we keep saying it, we'll get aggression.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Man, look at this Guan. Look at this Sobek, man, just pushed up by himself. No one's ever going to gank him.
Nobody's ganked him
Ezzuna's
all
fine.
game long.
No one's going to rotate to him.
He's still got the shirt on
ever.
Too. What's 4-leaf Clover's got
Really,
to do?
he was just in a fight, and he didn't, like, get a new shirt or wash that one?
How is 4-leaf Clover's anything to do with, like, I don't know, summary? I don't get it.
Lucky, you know, luck of the Irish. Luck of the Irish, man. Sobek's clearly from Ireland.
Well, right Hoppies are about to spawn, and they're going to go the way of Abstract. Left one's going to take it about another 25 seconds, I'd say, before they come available once more. And Gears of Luke going to have to choose between red buff and the midway farm, which is actually getting zoned off of here. Is Gears of Luke. Bacchus puts into an awkward spot, but can easily flop away. However, pulled back in, and I don't think the team recognized they could do that, because Abstract did not follow up on Battalion's Bacchus at all.
Abstract seemed a little bit scared to commit to that. That is a Bacchus. Man fight on the left-hand side, though. Styley trying to hit the basics. He does have his ult and Sanctuary trying to pop it, but he's going to be forced down, and Airbrushd should be able to pick up this kill.
And Airbrushd will pick it up, but I don't think Airbrushd did any work in that engagement at all. That was just nice boxing coming out from Naaaarrrk there. Big tornado, though, on 3 targets of Battalion. The drums of war are coming through. Bloakley gets himself a kill on N6, and Thunder crashes in. Luke goes down too. No help for you as your passive right now, and now Bacchus, sorry, Guan Yu surrounded, tries to charge away, but gonna get run down for another kill in favor of Abstract.
4 dead on the side of Battalion. Abstract finally get themselves on the board, and they do it in spectacular fashion, and they're going to be able to pick up this Gold Fury as well. 17 minutes in, they already had a slight gold lead. It's 4K right now. They're going to pick up another 2K after this one, and this is a sizable lead. We didn't see that at all in Game 1. It took until about the 30-minute mark where we really saw Battalion get things together, but 5K at 17 minutes, this team's also in a really good position to start pushing towers.
I look back at that whole engagement that we just saw, and it generally comes down to the 1v1 Hunter matchup. That Hunter fight went the way of Abstract, and because of that, Battalion were trying to turn it around and find something out of it, and because of that, they lost everything.
It's really Airbrushd and Bloakley for me too, right? Obviously, there was that bait, forced the rotation from Battalion, but then just from behind, Airbrushd, he hits the Typhoon, knocks up 3 members while they're still in the air. Taiku drums from Bloakley comes out, he lines up, hits 3 members with full damage, and it's just a crushing defeat. Olliieee, the tank, was the first to fall, and then everyone else just got chased down afterwards.
And this is what Abstract were really looking for in Game 1. Their team fights were so good at the start, but Battalion, well, they found the window with the objective control. If they can find another fire giant at this stage again, Adonis, it could swing one more.
I mean, I really did think Abstract had the better players when it came to kind of team fights and engagements, but it was just the intelligence coming up from Battalion. Now they're going to be forced to play from behind. Also on a Zhong, who is not only behind in experience and levels, but he's also picked up a Wrath for a second relic.
Wrath?
Yeah, I don't know. I do like Wrath, though.
I
really do like Wrath.
You mean Frenzy?
Or Frenzy. Did I say Wrath?
Yeah, I was looking for the Wrath, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Sorry, I meant Frenzy. He's picked up Frenzy.
I was just making sure we're talking about the same person, that's all. But yeah, Frenzy on a Zhong, that's a very interesting choice.
It provides a lot of bonus damage, also attack speed. It's a very good relic for your team fight, but on a Zhong, you really want something that you're going to be able to get into the fight with, or a self-preservation relic like Sanctuary, especially because he's far behind. Even though he's tanky, he's going to be able to get chased down if he can't stay the same level as his opponents.
When we talk about self-preservation, I'm all a part of that society, that's for sure. Battalion going to group up in the mid lane with 4 members here. Guan Yu split pushing the right-hand side here, and Sobek back in base. Means that we could actually see that tier 1 tower fall if no Compromise recognizes it, but unfortunately not. Ezzuna just going to be able to limp back and find that wave without the tower going down.
I like Ezzuna not using his teleport there either, because if a fight breaks out, he's going to want to be able to rotate to it. You can see Guan Yu's got his up as well, so instead, saving it for a potential engagement as Battalion are actually grouped up. Look at their positioning.
Yeah, they're trying to push Abstract into an awkward spot because Guan Yu's run around side, and there's Zhong pulled in, but Zhong at half of a great flop from Olliieee one more time. Still though, Gears of Loot getting very, very low as Airbrushd does go down. The Drums of War from Bloakley take 2 out of the fight.
Battalion, they've already taken out 1, and they're going to be chasing as well, but it's going to be the Kumbhakarna, a jump in from Instinct. The knockup's not going to hit. Really nice turnaround from Naaaarrrrk there, and it's just going to be a wash. 1 kill picked up. Ezzuna's made the rotation and might try and pluck on Olliieee, but I don't know if all of Abstract want to dive into this.
Some decent damage from Bloakley coming out there with the 2, but unfortunately enough, they're not going to have anything else here. And Battalion, with the sustain of Guan Yu and the creeps in their advantage, could look to push on a little bit more, but with 3 defenders, they're going to take the small win there and just head back to their own jungle.
Once again, shoutouts to Olliieee. The second his mid laner gets plucked out of position, immediately finds the counter initiate, the knock up, the intoxicate. It makes it very hard for Abstract to lock down the Zhong. The Wrath comes out as well, just enough bonus damage to shred through that kill.
4-3 is the scoreline right now. Goal lead of about 6,500, I should say, for Abstract, even after that engagement there as well. And now they're just looking around the map. Speed buff's about to come back up for them in the blue buff too. Got Fury down for about another minute and a half. So for now, I don't think we'll see another fight. It was an interesting one though, because it was Abstract that started that fight off.
It was Ezzuna. I mean, he's the only one who goes aggressive on Abstract. We don't see it coming out from DineOhSaw. We don't see it coming out from the Susano. We saw Susano find 1 pull deep into the jungle of Battalion, but he's kind of like, I don't know if I want to commit to this, which I think was the correct decision in that situation. But that was the first time we saw him look like he was going to do something and you know, to start a fight, and he still didn't.
Well, Luke here, you saw him get pulled in that fight and actually evaporate off the map at the beginning of it, and you can see he's falling behind further. 4 levels down over the Raijin here. Raijin just starting to get a little bit better farm over and over, and when you level up, you get so much more base stats and so much more damage. You have to keep that
especially
going.
for Zhong, who scales so well because of those defensive stats that were added onto him. I think it was sometime last year that it's so important to get that extra health.
Well, Ezzuna actually getting focused here for the first time in a while here. The rotation over from Awilix. You got Bacchus zoning in the jungle too, so Olliee's going to look for the stun with the belch. Not going to find it. Meanwhile, Guan, too busy farming. On the left-hand side, we've still got action going on there.
But it doesn't seem like Abstract want to force a fight. They were kind of grouped up for it, but they backed off quickly, and Ezzuna just spins in circles around the jungle and makes an escape. That Gold Fury is spawning, and I like what Abstract are doing. They're having the Apollo split push to draw the attention of Battalion, so they focus more on the tier 2 tower instead of the major objective, and NoStyle is just getting outboxed head to toe.
Well, he's 2 levels down now as well on that left-hand side. This is going very well for the game for Abstract here, just on experience alone. They've already got 2 people at level 20, and their counterparts are both level 18. And when we mentioned the mid laner multiple times already, there's still a 3-level lead there as well.
Yeah, Naaaarrrrk's lead might be the biggest. We haven't really taken note of it, but he's got 2 bridge items in the Iqfile, and Executioner is going to be working on the Rage Blade as well. Once that finished, it's going to take so long for NoStyle to catch up because he's gone into very expensive items like the Transcendence, like the Chin Size, which, while powerful on their own, are not as DPS efficient when you look at gold to damage cost of those 2 bridge items onto Naaaarrrk.
Well, the Gold Fury is available right now. No ward down from either team at it, just around the area. And Battalion, they're going to set around the corner and they're going to meet Ezzuna in a second. But Sobek's not going to be too worried about it. Now Comba joins in too. So Bacchus going to have to jump away as happily as he can be. And they're trying to bait around the corner, but there's a ward right on the left there, just spotting him out.
You can see the difference in playstyle from Abstract. Last game, Ezzuna was pulling that Bacchus on cooldown. This time, he's a little bit more wary. He knows that the Bacchus can counter-initiate, especially onto his Raijin. So he wants to make sure if he's going to pluck, only the Bacchus is nearby and he's isolated by himself, which is always so worrying because you don't have those jungle wards that deep.
It's true. Now, in goes Kumbhakarna here, just looking around still. No put on the Gold Fury just yet as Battalion, they take their red buff and they have to come and look. And when they do, well, good damage from Bloakley there.
And there's the knockup from the Typhoon as well. Olliieee, he's almost going to die. He's one hit. He's going to bounce in place. Naaaarrrk has already taken him out. Ezzuna's going to be trying to chase out the front line of Battalion as well. And so far, Abstract, they have the first kill.
And he's going in their favor too, because you also saw the meditate come out there from Battalion. They've got to go on you for sustain, and the front line of Guan, sorry, of the Sobek and Kumbhakarna back at it again, keeping them busy, keeping them zoned away. Zhong on the right, no ultimate available. He's going to swing in here, but the Gold Fury is already down.
And now all of Battalion are split up. You're going to have one knocked up into the sky, and quickly a pullback as well, as Instinct tries to make a play, but he's only put himself in a worse spot. Compromise, isolated, chased down into the tower, pulled back in, and Abstract find themselves with 3 kills.
They can get a tier 2 tower off this as well. They're tanky enough to do it. So just watch Sobek force back one more time. The Awilix misses a charge base. Fine. They get a tier 2 tower. So of that, they get a Gold Fury and an additional 1,500 gold in their coffers.
It was already a 6,500 gold lead. Now it's been extended to over 10,000. And still 3 towers left up. You typically don't see that with how low the action has been. This has just been Abstract completely out-farming Battalion from the beginning of the game. And we didn't even see that many invades.
This goes back to picks and bans though, because Abstract pretty much picked exactly the same composition. They just changed one guard in the Hunter and went at it again. They felt confident after the first game that they knew where the mistakes were. And they showed that after the first game that, yeah, it was just a mistake that cost them.
And, I mean, it's worked out perfectly for them so far in this game. 25 minutes in, they're in such a dominant... Yep. This feels weird that it's that much of a lead at only 25 minutes with how slow paced this game has been going. This just seems to be a complete switch up, where last game we saw Battalion being the aggressors, where the counter initiators based off Ezzuna and winning these fights cleanly. Now we're actually seeing Abstract find the fights, find the wins in them, and it really seems like much more comfortability on this Raijin this time.
I think it's more to do with the farm. The fact that they just out-farmed them in every single position has just put them into a lead already. Then they won every team fight, which has enveloped the lead even further. Then every Gold Fury, then the towers. Like, it's just been a one domino after another.
3K in hand for Kumbhakarna, 2,500 for most of everyone else. Kumba, what do you finish off? An entire Spirit's Robe, also going to be selling off his Watchers, starting up, it looks like a Mantle of Discord. And more importantly, Naaaarrrk has 6 slotted.
Yeah, that's the big key here. You can just see the item difference between the teams, and items coming to play at this stage of the game. The respawn times are starting to get there too. They're not high kill games though, really, Adonis. It's just generally tactical for the most part. Battalion, tactically wise, I mean, I don't think their fighting is the best, but they normally know when to go for towers. And I think right now, they need to start looking at maybe some split push.
It's possible. And you look at their gods though, it's a little bit hard. I mean, you can have no style split push, but he's a Xbalanque who you don't want left alone, right? If they had the Apollo, that would make sense. It's very easy for him to. So really, you're looking at on Instinct to be the primary split pusher, but I feel like he needs to be in these fights for when we see the initiation come in.
I think that's the key here, is maybe just send Battalion off to one member of Battalion or 2 to another side, because I think 3 of Battalion members just standing around watching Abstract here is enough to stop them aggression. They don't seem to want to aggress unless they can catch someone solo.
And look at this, Olliieee once again around the corner. Ezzuna could look to pull. We've seen him just kind of scare Olliieee out more than anything, and he's actually changed his attention to Luke, who's by himself, plucked back into the team.
And he's going to use the ultimate, but already he's dead and off the map. Xbalanque forced to ult 2, lurking in the waters. Good there from the Sobek to zone him again. Falls back to his team, pulled back in after a knock-up though. Sobek under pressure, and he's going to get flocked on by Olliieee. Good intoxicate follow-up is going to allow no compromise to secure the kill.
Such a good counter initiation. Actually, the Kumba still going aggressive, but the rest of his team doesn't really want to follow up, and you can see it could be trouble for them as Olliieee finds the stun, but Abstract finally bounced back. And I was a little bit worried at first when that Sobek got pulled under the tower, but a really good job from Battalion. Once that dash was down, they knew they could kill him and find the answer back kill. If that doesn't happen, I think Abstract just run over the team fight.
Yeah, on instinct there with that Awilix was very, very good onto the Sobek. Without that, could have been a different tail of the tape for sure. Instead, it's just a 1-for-1 trade. Fire Giant still stands, and you can see both teams are a little bit scared that the other team might go for it, so they're all hanging around that sort of area right now.
That was such a good fight overall for Battalion. Even though they trade out 1-for-1, the important thing is that it delays Abstract, because Abstract are a little bit less likely to go and force that Fire Giant 4v4 as opposed to 5v5 where they can pick off someone. So just delaying the game out for another, guaranteed minute is very helpful for them.
Guan caught out of position here, and a lot of damage coming out from Bloakley there with that percussive storm. And they're actually pulling the Fire Giant here. Our Abstract after that. Kumbhakarna on zone duty, sees Bacchus, and Olliieee should recognize this, but they're bursting it pretty quickly and still nobody going in from Battalion. Abstract get a free Fire Giant. Are you serious?
And Ollie's just going to have to bounce away. You can see Awilix was actually pushing the whole time, and now all of Battalion are retreating into their Phoenix as On Instinct tries to get a tier 2 in response.
Tier 2 in response, but can they do it? They've got minions with
them
them
now. They're going
to
lose a Phoenix unless On Instinct backs.
And an Apollo as well is going to be there with the atrocity to actually help out, but I don't think she can do this alone.
She's actually backing. She knows she has to defend the Phoenix. She 100% could have got that tower, but this is too important of a team fight. If Battalion lose this, they could lose the entire game off it, and there's the pluck onto Olliieee.
And Bacchus very low. Misses the first flop I've seen all game. Drums of war sounded, and the burst is going to be good from Bloakley to finish him off. No Airbrushd with the Typhoon to secure that one. Now he can see forced out his Guan Yu. One hit for him, definitely. They're not going to give him up for free.
Look at this. A ton of players low, but it doesn't matter. The Fire Giant going to be able to heal everyone up. Awilix tries to take out Airbrushd, but it's not enough, and the Raijin absolutely shreds Styley. The Phoenix finally is going to be sieged successfully, and once again, On Instinct plucked back in. The dash forward from Bloakley, but can't confirm the kill on Instinct, and he's just going to be able to reset 1 Phoenix and 1 kill.
Very, very good work coming out actually from Battalion to just hold just 1 Phoenix there. They could have lost a lot more off that, but still 5 members alive with the Fire Giant. Means they can swing around here and push out this lane, look for the tier 2 on the right, the final tier 2 tower on the map.
This is going to be clean. It should be free. I don't see how Battalion are going to be able to defend this. They're much more likely to successfully defend a Phoenix. If they lose a fight at the tier 2 tower, they have nowhere to retreat to. Abstract is going to be able to chase them down, whereas if they plant their defenses at the Phoenix, they still have that fountain very close.
Well, not going to defend this Battalion here quite clearly. It's going to fall back to their Phoenix. The ultimates are all available for both sides of the teams here. And Fire Giant not got too much longer left. Well, she's got quite a bit of time left on that. I lied. I thought they took a little bit longer for them to get as much as they did.
It's going to be a 15.5K gold lead. I don't see how Abstract dropped this game at this point. It's really going to come down to a lot of missed abilities. I mean, you have the Soul Reaver now completed for Raijin. He's going to be working on a Fraud of Tahuti as well. Meanwhile, you look at the Zhong, it took him this long to get 100 stacks. He's just finished his Obsidian Shard, and now he's going to be forced into defense.
Well, God Fury is available for Abstract now, and you can see you straight away Ezzuna, zone duty, making sure nobody can come in here and clean this one up. The rest of the team is on the way as they push out mid lane and clean up the red buff at the same time as Battalion. Going to do the same thing, and Ezzuna's going to contest. He's got to be careful, though.
He's fine for the most part, but the thing is that Battalion can't really force the fight onto him because they don't know where the rest of Abstract is. If they invest everything into the Sobek, Abstract just rotates to them and probably finishes them off. Even Naaaarrrk could Apollo ult into him, so they need to be very careful and critical of their positioning in these next couple of minutes.
Well, they're going to head down to the left-hand side here, bring the minions with them as well, just to make sure they can reduce the protections of the Phoenix and have something else tank them while they try and bring the Phoenix down. Bacchus on the forefront, alongside their teammates there, Guan Yu and Awilix. They're going to have to set up a very good defense here, as still Susano is pushing mid.
Eyes on Olliieee. Olliieee has to be the playmaker in this fight. We need 2 to 3 man knockups. We need Intoxicate on the whole team. And On Instinct needs to find a carry that it can pluck back into the engagement.
He plucks Guan Yu there, so no real follow-up there. But there's the ultimate coming out from Xbalanque as well. They get a lot of good damage off onto Ezzuna there. But still, the Typhoon comes out to knock him up and slow them down. Gears of Luke does a lot of damage, but gets taken out of the fight by Kumbhakarna.
Oh, Luke still not dead. Somehow able to walk away, but the trouble is the Awilix has already fallen, and Airbrushd able to chase down Luke into his own Phoenix. 1 Phoenix remains right now, and it's already picked up. Abstract looking to force this into a game 3 on Compromise. Back into the team. Can't even make it back into the fountain. And it's going to be game here. Abstract should be able to clean this up unless Olliieee can somehow defend against all 5.
Yeah, they're going to pluck him into danger again. Olliieee under pressure. They're looking for farming kills instead of looking for the win. Instead, they did really want to bring down the Fat Man, and the Fat Man has fallen finally. But now Abstract, well, they're not going to finish.
I mean, Abstract could have just won the game off that, but instead, they are playing it very safe. Their Fire Giant has fallen off. They want to get the last Phoenix. No Style isn't going to be able to stop this, and he could die. Thunder Crash forward. It's not enough damage, but Airbrushd still finds the kill.
And now maybe they'll end this time around, but Guan Yu says not today. Cavalry Charge comes out, looking for the stun, finds it on 2, but the Titan is still falling. The Titan finally falls. 1-1, boys. It's the same as the other semi-final. Abstract to Battalion. Even out.
Abstract looking so much better in game 2 compared to game 1. We didn't see them do anything. They just kind of let Battalion run and dictate the game. This time, we saw a lot more aggression. And I also think kind of choices, looking at Ezzuna mostly on that Sobek. The first game, he was just like, oh, I see a Bacchus, let's pluck. And then his mage would just get bursted by the Bacchus. This time, made a little bit better decisions on trying to focus on those squishy targets.
I do like the way Airbrushd plays the Susano as well there, because what he was doing is jumping in and out, looking for the squishies who were weak on the back line. You'll see him in the engagement. I mean, he got off to a good start, as you can see there. Just good rotation. He didn't really need to be there. He's just a kill stealer more than anything. But all good junglers have to be kill stealers as well.
This Typhoon, this is what won them the game.
Yep.
The 3-man knockup, you can see the Raijin ult on the side, and he's just able to chase down these important and critical kills. And that's one thing that Airbrushd was very good at, was finding these kills at the end of the team fight. Because you're Susano, because you're one of the most mobile gods in the game, if someone's very low and they manage to escape, it's your job to make sure they can't get back and come into the fight again.
Well, it's 1-1, boys and girls. Who will find out? We'll find out who wins after the break. We're going to go to a quick break as we get ourselves ready for picks and bans one more time.